Hi there, this is Neil Salvage and welcome to this podcast, Gassing On. Yes, we're going to gas on about the world of ground gas. We're going to meet people in the industry. We're going to visit places and generally find out about interesting things that are happening, developing, and the changes that have gone on before us. So welcome on board and hope you enjoy this podcast. So, hello and welcome, and today I'm joined by Kevin Mitchell, UK Technical Manager for Butech Landline and also Chairman of the British Geomembrane Association, the BGA. Welcome, Kevin.
Thanks very much, Neil. Nice to see you here.
And you. Well, today we're at the Contaminated Land Expo, aren't we, here at the NEC? So, a bit of a journey down for you today.
Yeah, it was quite strange actually. I've not been flying for about 2 years, right. And the airport was a very different place, and the plane was same plane but different environment. So yeah, it's been a bit of a learning curve.
Well, welcome to Birmingham anyway. So, but Kevin, give us a little insight to yourself, both and your roles that you do, both BGA and Butech. What are your roles and responsibilities?
Well, I joined Butech about 7 years ago, and I've been in the industry since 1991. Obviously I was a boy geomembrane salesman.
We're all boys once, weren't we?
Yeah, absolutely Neil. So yeah, I look after mainly Scotland, and I also have a sort of UK responsibility for overseeing sort of technical matters like knowing our way around the British Standard and Survey 735 and all these other exciting publications that we all live and die by.
That's it, yeah. And you're an international company as well, are you, Butech? You're all over the world?
Yeah, I mean, Butech Landline are in effect the installation arm of Buto Products Group.
Right.
So yeah, we put things all over the world. We can build you an infrastructure camp out of nothing in the middle of the Sudan if you would like. We can do water treatment. We just finished doing a complete water treatment system for a flooded out village in Germany. Right. So yeah, we're an international company, but Butech Landline are, as I say, the installation arm, and obviously we directly employ our installation engineers. So.
And you're quite involved with the ground gas sector as well here in the UK. Is that a big part of your business here?
Yeah, it's certainly a significant part of our business. It's something that I think we do well. We do a lot of pre-welding. We don't really like tapes very much. Certainly don't like double-sided tape.
Right, yeah.
I think you know, our competitors and everyone alike would agree that welding is the best way to do it, and we've certainly fully embraced the welding technology.
Yeah. Well, I've encountered your chaps working on site and seeing that. So let's look at the industry now, the world of ground gas, and you know, how is it moving along? You know, you can put a BGA hat on here as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think as the chair of the BGA, I am trying very hard to promote the use of specialist installation companies. Now, we can't always get that. There are people who will always want to do it themselves. But I think in general, consultants and certainly a lot of the manufacturers are aware that it would be better for everybody if it was installed by people who know what they're doing. Now, I'm not suggesting that there aren't companies who aren't specialist installers who don't know what they're doing, but I think there is much more safeguards if you're using a supply installation company, and that is their main part of their business. And I think we've done a lot of things to try and move things forward. We've got the NVQs, which is a good level, and also we're looking at trying to introduce a sort of accreditation, a sort of gold standard, of saying, look, these companies, for example, who have got this standard, are people who you can trust, they're financially stable, they've got the right training in place, they've got the right procedures in place. So we're never going to guarantee everything's 100%, but if you're going to go with companies like that, you've got a better chance of it all going quite well.
Yeah.
And I think as a BGA chair, it's my job to do that on behalf of everybody in the industry.
And seeing the verification world, that's obviously taken off since 2014 when Syria wrote the 735 guidance. Yeah. How's that playing out, both, for your thoughts on that, Kevin?
I think it's had a difficult gestation in some respects. I think there are a lot of good work going on in verification, and I think there's some not so good work going on in verification. Unfortunately, some people have seen it as a commercial opportunity. Now, obviously, it has to commercially wipe its face, obviously, but it's difficult, I think, when there is a variation sometimes in the standards of the verification, and that is difficult for installation companies because sometimes things are being approved and sometimes they're not being approved or accepted. So we could do with a little bit of consistency in that. That would be nice.
Yeah, and it's evolution, isn't it? Do you think 735 maybe is due a review? Possibly. Do you think that should be? Possibly 6 years old, 7 years old now, isn't it?
If I'm honest, I think there's always going to be anomalies. And I think one of the biggest problems we have is we do need to review things, but these things often take a lot of time. I think it's very dangerous when regulators and people like councils, etc., start to use documents like that more as a tick box and less of a guidance. And I think that's difficult for everybody, and I don't think it serves the industry particularly well, or in fact the councils. Yeah. So it's one of these ones that, yes, I think we probably could do with having a little bit of a look at these sort of things, but again, it comes down to money, it comes down to people's time, and we're all trying to do the same thing,
and earn a living as well.
And earn a living, exactly, yeah, because obviously what people will probably be aware of, the BGA office bearers are all volunteers trying to do it whilst doing their own job. And it would be nice to have a bit more engagement sometimes as well.
Well, it's interesting talking about the regulatory factors. I've noticed recently on visits to Scotland, seeing the amount of verification that's required. It's kind of, they've gone all guns firing at it now. Do you think have they got the level right? Because I know Scotland's had an issue, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, I don't think they have. I think that the Series 735 document is there to increase the standards and make sure that you can be fairly comfortable that everything is being done properly. And there are different ways of doing that, and if you're potentially a ground worker who doesn't have NVQ people, your level of verification should be higher. What has happened in Scotland, I think uniquely, is that a number of the engineering consultancies have decided to get involved in this, but they've made a decision which says we won't sign anything off that we haven't inspected. So rather than having 50% of the plots inspected, we're getting 100% inspection. Now that's probably making a lot of money for some consultants.
Yes.
But I think it's arguable that it's not actually what Series 735 is trying to achieve. So I think it's difficult, but it is what it is at the moment. From our point of view, it doesn't make a lot of difference because our guys go and install the job, and it gets inspected. Whether 2 out of 4 get inspected or 4 out of 4 get inspected, we're not really fussy.
Yeah.
But the impact to the industry is that house builders and the developers are paying much more money for something. And when I kind of suggest that, well, actually, I'm not entirely sure you do need to have every single plot done, then the consultants are going to say, well, we won't sign it off unless we see everything. So it's a bit tricky.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I don't have any problem with 100% inspection, but if that's how it's going to go, make that for everybody.
Proportionate and appropriate is the term I think that we should be looking at, and hopefully any listeners out there who are certainly making that decision, we do it in our risk assessment, or those that do risk assessment. So
well, I think that's one of the other issues, is that I think the British standard, certainly 8485, is predicated on doing a risk assessment, but that's one of the bits which seems to be overlooked by the councils. They're not really interested in the risk assessment, they just want you to tick all the boxes.
Yeah.
Which is a bit tricky.
Well, let's look ahead now, Kevin, to what you've alluded to, the gold standard for the BGA and accreditation of its members.
Yeah.
What else do you think is in the pipeline? Anything that the industry needs or would help the industry? What can you think of? Putting you on the spot here, aren't I? Really,
Well, it is a little bit. What would really help the industry? I think. I'm not quite. Maybe I can say this with my Butech Landline hat on.
Yeah.
Oh, a little bit of ethics would be nice. Oh no. I think we've. I think as an industry, we've always been relatively small, and we all kind of know each other. But I think sometimes we need to actually work more together to create a common situation which we can all work to. And if we all did that, I think that would benefit everybody, and it would also increase the standards. I think the problem always arises when you have a number of people doing it to one standard, and then you have a number of people who are sort of thoughtfully not doing it to that standard for commercial gain. It's a bit tricky. I think everybody is happy to win or lose jobs as long as it's a level playing field.
Yeah, no, and that's a common thing that we see, in the way jobs are being won. We're seeing more ground workers come to the industry, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's some people, that's a bit of a bone of contention that they should and shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one, to be honest. I'm talking from Butech Landline. Our stance is very much, our first line of attack is we'll supply it and we'll install it. And I think that's how it should be. We don't always get that.
No.
And you then have to look at how you can service the customer as best as possible, and try to minimise the chance of them making a mess of the installation, which is what we've tried to do on some situations. But the business model that we have can work, for housing schemes as well. And people used to say, oh, it's difficult to get housing schemes to work. Well, I think you can get it to work as a supply and installation job. And the fact that generally we are much quicker than the ground workers at doing it, there's a value to getting in and out, and there's a value to the decrease in the programme and all these kind of things. So looking at the holistic cost of supply and installation makes specialist installers a bit more attractive.
And then also adding in that verification element, if it is appropriate and proportionate to the risk of the site, the competencies of the workforce, the complexity of the design, etc., etc., then...
Yeah, we're getting into utopia here, Neil, to be fair. The issue is if the verifier has decided that in his remediation method statement that every plot will be inspected, and that's what it says, and that's been adopted by the council, that's what he's going to get. We have no control over that. Obviously, we're not verifiers. No. I haven't heard that the British Verification Council are doing anything about any of their members that are doing that, so I'm not sure.
No.
But it would be nice if everything went by the book, but as we both know, that very rarely happens.
And on that note, Kevin, I think we should wrap things up there. Excellent. Kevin, thank you for your time. First of all, finally to close, how do we get hold of you if anybody wants to ask any questions or contact you afterwards?
Yeah, if you just Google Butech Landline Containment Solutions, I'm sure my name will pop up at some point, or just get a hold of me, Kevin at butech-landline.co.uk.
Excellent. And you're on LinkedIn and social media channels, LinkedIn?
Yep, you'll get us on Twitter and Facebook and all these sort of things.
Brilliant.
Just look for Butech Landline.
Excellent. Thanks, Kevin. Really appreciate your time, and thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the day here at Birmingham NEC.
Thanks, Neil. Nice to speak to you.
So thanks for joining us, and look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye now.